G'day guys, I'm Matt Brand, and this is a full in-depth review of the 2020 BMW 3 Series. Now, as always, we will start by taking a look at the exterior of the 3 Series, then we will move on to the interior and see how it drives, and finally we're going to end on, is it worth buying the all-new 2020 3 Series? And if you are new around here, make sure you go down there and hit the subscribe button. I release a new awesome car review every single week, so you can be notified as soon as that's uploaded. And if you do enjoy the video, make sure you go down there and hit the thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. So let's just get straight into it. Now, I want to start with the front, and I absolutely love the front of the new 3 Series. Now, it's not a massive departure away from the previous generation 3 Series, but what it has done is it's made everything a bit more masculine, a bit more sporty, sleek, and elegant. I think it's a really cool look. And having the M Sport package, because it's not an M car, it does have some nice additions. For example, the absolutely iconic kidney grills, they are completely gloss black, and they really look cool, especially with this bright white paint on this one. These kidney grills also have a trick up their sleeve. They can open and close. So they're closed 99% of the time for aerodynamics and fuel efficiency. But when you're really putting your foot on the gas, it will go and open up to let a lot more air into the engine. It's neat design though. I would worry about that breaking 10 years down the track. Of course, the kidney grille has grown, but I still think it's sleek and one of the best applications of the kidney grille across the entire BMW range. Of course, there is even more grille underneath the kidney grills down the bottom to let air in. And of course, there are fake grills flanking the bottom grille. A lot of grills on the front of this car. And of course, my favorite part are the headlights. Now, these aren't the laser BMW headlights that you can option, but they're still LEDs, very bright low beam, very bright high beam. They work so well. And I love the ultra modern daytime running lights within them. And before I forget to mention, we have LED fog lights too. Overall, I absolutely love the front of the new 3 Series. I think it's a really mean, cool look, but it stays so true to the previous generation. Or should I say previous generations? Competition like the C-Class have really had their design washed away. And I'm not saying it's a bad looking car, but they don't really stay true to their heritage. The BMW 3 Series really does, and it just builds upon the previous 3 Series. Of course, there's more to the 3 Series than just the front. What about the sides? It's really hard to make a standard sedan look cool. BMW have managed to do that. Let's start with probably my favorite thing here, and these are the 19-inch 5-spoke dual-tone wheels. They come as standard on the M Sport package, and they just look really cool. They let you see into the entire wheel, and of course, you do see the M Performance brakes, which you do get as standard with the M Sport package. And they're painted blue. They are such a cool look, and they go so well with the wheel and the rest of the paint job. The side generally is a really sleek, sporty look, just like the front. And probably my next favorite thing about the side is you get to see the ever so slight ducktail spoiler on the back. It looks really special. And I'm a huge fan of ducktail spoilers, like in my Supra that I reviewed, and you can click up there somewhere to watch that review. That had an awesome ducktail spoiler, and I guess it was a bit of a BMW as well, so no, I joke. It was designed by Toyota, the shell anyway. Funnily enough, when you look at the back, the ducktail spoiler is a lot less pronounced, but still, at least there is something there to add a bit more sportiness to the sedan design. The rear tail lights on the 3 Series are a piece of art. I absolutely love them. They keep a simple look, but then they're a beautiful bright LED, and I absolutely adore the fact that they are tinted. It really helps to give it a mean, masculine look. Big fan there. Going down the bottom of the rear, and you see the M Sport bumper. That doesn't look very M Sporty, to be honest. There's no diffuser or anything like that. It's literally just a grayed out bumper. Don't really understand how it's very sporty, but I guess at least it breaks up the white. And then of course, down the bottom, we have the real exhaust tips, which are massive. They look great and they sound really good too. Here's a short compilation. overall, I really like the look of the new 3 Series. It really has an overall sporty, masculine feel, which is hard to achieve in a mid-sized luxury sedan. BMW have done just that. But what do you guys think? What do you think looks better? The all-new BMW 3 Series, the Mercedes C-Class, the Audi A4, or the Alfa Romeo Giulia? Vote up there right now, and also leave a comment down below. I expect there'll be a bit of debate down there. Whoa, meaty. Meaty. Now let's move on to the interior, but if you have been enjoying the review so far, it would mean a lot if you could go down there and like the video. It really helps the channel out. Anyway, the interior, and I want to start with the good. And to be honest, it was really hard to find anything bad about this interior, but I definitely tried, so stick around for that. First and foremost is the quality of the materials within the BMW 3 Series. Crazy. BMW are known for their interiors, and the 3 Series is no different. It is incredible within here. Everywhere you touch, it doesn't matter where, is awesome quality material. Even the hard plastics manage to be somewhat soft. It's truly incredible and better than pretty much all of its competitors. To add to that, the overall look inside of here is absolutely fantastic. Everything just works so well together. The center console pattern is a little bit odd, but I actually don't mind it. It's certainly way better than a gloss black interior, which manufacturers are moving away from because they leave fingerprints. As a result, it's this nice metallic pattern. It's a bit odd, but you can change it out at no cost to a wood grain finish or a metallic finish. So it's not a big issue. I really don't mind it. It certainly doesn't leave any marks. Good job. And then there is the steering wheel. And for all my longtime subscribers out there, and you should definitely subscribe, you know how much I care about the steering wheel. The steering wheel is what you hold, it's what you grab for the entire life of the car. So it's important that it's good. And of course, BMW have hit it out of the park with this steering wheel. It's incredibly thick, but I absolutely love that. It won't be for everyone. It is really thick. I mean, really thick. So if you have small hands, you might not like it very much. Of course, it is that way because it is part of the M Sport package. You get the nice little M logo down the bottom as well, which helps make the car feel sportier, even though it's not a true M car. Of course, quality materials, perfect feeling leather, and I mean really perfect feeling leather. That's not firm, and it's just soft and supple enough that it feels great in the hands. The center is a leather-like feel. You don't find that on very many cars. Usually it's just a nasty black plastic. To the left, we have our cruise controls, and the BMW 3 Series has one of the best cruise control systems in the business. As standard on the 330i model that I'm driving here, you do get adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, and it really does hold you in the lane, and adaptive cruise control is all the way to 0. It will start itself back up. It is almost autonomous driving, and it's really good. But anyway, back to the steering wheel. On the left, we do have the cruise controls. On the right, we have the media controls, and you can also control the digital cluster, which we'll get into a second. We have our paddles here as well, which do feel a bit plasticky, but at least they look metal. And overall, I'm in love with this steering wheel. It is really good. Of course, we have the seats. These are the Vinaska seats. They are real leather and not the Sensatec that BMW loves to put around in their interiors. And they are really good. They're super comfortable. They have adjustable side bolstering, incredibly configurable, but it doesn't have lumbar support. And that is a bit of a shame because my back has been a little bit sore working from home. I don't have the best desk setup, and as a result, I would love to have some lumbar support right now, and I was expecting it because this is a luxury sedan, but it's an optional extra. Unsurprising, but no less disappointing. But apart from that, they are beautiful material. They feel so good. On longer journeys, I actually haven't had any issues. Like right now, my back doesn't hurt at all, so they still are supportive enough. It's so planted. Ow. Rear wheel drive too, it shouldn't be that planted. We'll get onto the driving soon. The infotainment screen is really good. It's not the best in class, but it still is fantastic. It's a 10.25 inch display, super clear, super quick to respond as well. It's literally like using a smartphone. Menus are really functional and detailed and just great. The user experience is fantastic. The one thing that is a letdown is it doesn't have Android Auto yet. Now, a lot of you will be like, well, it's coming. And yes, it has been announced that it will be coming probably in June or July. And it depends on your market as well. Something worth mentioning though is it is coming out in the just announced BMW 5 Series. So I'm sure it will come, but a matter of when, who knows? You should never ever buy a car with the promise of a feature coming out, because it doesn't always happen, or it's delayed to such a long degree that you never really get to experience it. And the disadvantage there is that competitors already have it. Think Mercedes, they have it. So it is a disappointment that it doesn't have it. There is no denying it. Yes, it may come, it probably will come, but you should never buy a car thinking that you will get it in the future. A lot of the times it's delayed or it doesn't happen. Just keep that in mind. It does have a really good inbuilt navigation. It's not as good as Google Maps always, but it's still really good. In fact, it's up there being the best. What is awesome though is that it comes as standard with a 10 speaker, 205 watt sound system. You can upgrade it to a Harman Kardon sound system, but this sound system works really well. It sounds great. So I wouldn't probably spend that money, even though I would consider myself an audiophile, probably wouldn't spend the huge amounts of money to get that installed. Speaking of bright displays, we have a 12.3 inch digital cluster right in the center. Now, it's a fantastic display, very bright, very vibrant, very responsive, with a cool minimalist look maps in the center. I really, really like it. There is no denying though that it's not as functional as its competitors, namely Audi's digital cockpit and Mercedes MBUX. It's just nowhere near as customizable. You can change the menu on the tachometer side, and that's about it. If you change between sport, normal, and eco, it will change the dials as well, but it's more an aesthetic look, unless in eco mode where you actually can see the fuel consumption, which is pretty cool. But again, it's nowhere near as customizable as those systems. So I can't say it's better. It works really well, but it's not as good. And the big disappointment there is because it's digital, it should be a lot more customizable, and it's not. But that's my only complaint. Overall, it's still really, really good, and I'm a big fan. Also, you get a very bright heads-up display, which is the best in the business. It is so good. Color accurate. It can display your navigation, a whole lot of information up there. Awesome. Oh my God. That was my phone. Oh, brutal. For both the car and my phone. Rest in peace, mate. Where did my phone disappear to? Oh, I got sent to another dimension. Ugh. Good here, no cracks. Now, talking about the bad, as I said, it's really hard to find bad in this car. BMW really have hit this car's interior out of the park. So I'm gonna nitpick here. The armrest is really hard plastic. I really don't like it. I don't know why they've done it here. I haven't experienced that in almost any car, even the Kia Picanto GT that I reviewed. An $18,000 car had much softer material here. As a result, I never rest my arm here, to be honest. It's not comfortable as other cars. It's not awful, it's not like hard plastic, but it's not great. Another thing, and this is a lot more subjective, the interior is just a little bit on the boring side. If you have a look at Mercedes' new design language, and it's important to note, this hasn't been carried over to the C-Class yet, where it's a dual display here and nice center console. You don't get that. And this BMW design language will be around for quite some time. The 3 Series was one of the first cars to have it. It's gonna look like this for some time. It's not a huge issue or a deal breaker at all, but it is on the more boring side, although I guess you could also swing that to be it's a little bit more elegant, a little bit less tech focused. And then, like most luxury cars, pretty much anything you really want is going to be an optional extra. You want lumbar support? Optional extra. You want a sunroof? Optional extra. $2,000. Interior lighting? Optional extra. Heated seats? Optional extra. And the list just goes on. Again, not totally unexpected, but then when you're spending as much as you are on this car, and we'll get to the price in a minute, you kind of want it. Overall though, I absolutely love sitting in this car. It is such a fancy place to be. Exactly what you would want out of a luxury sedan. But do you think that the pretty extensive list of optional extras is a bit of a deal breaker? The fact it doesn't come standard with heated seats or lumbar support, is that an issue for you? Let me know down in the comments right now. Quickly talking about the rear seats as well, you get plenty of legroom, plenty of headroom. It is longer than the old 3 Series. As a result, it is more practical back there. You also get a really top-notch rear climate control and 2 USB-C ports. Perfect car for family. In terms of boot space, it is unchanged from the previous generation. It's 480 liters. Plenty of boot space. You can also put down the rear seats, of course, from the boot, and you get a nice flat loading area with so much room. It is very practical, just like you would hope. In terms of how it drives, BMW, of course, is the driving machine, or so they say. This BMW here is the BMW 330i, meaning it has the 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbocharged engine. It pumps out a really healthy 190 kilowatt of power and 400 newton meters of torque. So it has a 0 to 100 kilometer time of 5.8 seconds, or for all you people stuck in the imperial times, a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 5.4 seconds. This is a quick car and faster than 99% of hot hatches out there. All of that power goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission through to the rear wheel. So it's still a rear wheel drive car, still has awesome driving dynamics. My one complaint about the transmission is that it's clearly tuned for fuel economy. As a result, the vast majority of the time when you're just coasting or things like that, it's only around 1,100 RPM. Like, it's really not far above 1,000 RPM, which is very low. And so the response, especially in comfort mode, when you put your foot down, it certainly can take a few seconds for it to kick down quite a few gears and be able to propel you. But if we put the car into sport mode and the transmission into sport mode, and we give it a bit of pep, it's certainly quick enough. Now, all that sound you heard just there is pumped into the interior. It's not real. The car will have a tiny amount of crackles and pops when you are really high in the rev range, but it's almost inaudible. But generally, you put your foot down and you just go. It is quick. Actually, just downshifted then and made a few crackles. So that's pretty cool. This is a driving machine. It is honestly worlds better than its competition. The C-Class really doesn't have much on this, especially with its 9-speed automatic transmission. And the Alfa Romeo Giulia, even though that is a nice driving car, is filled with gremlins within its drivetrain, has loads of issues, so I would steer clear of that car. Have no doubt that this car is damn quick. Just goes, man, it just goes. Now, in sport mode, ride quality is pretty damn stiff, and the reason for that is it has adaptive dampers fitted as standard on the 330i, and when you put it in sport mode, it locks up for a planted ride. But then you put the car into comfort mode, and it drives so well. I don't really understand why reviewers out there say that this car has a very harsh ride with the adaptive suspension in comfort mode. Have they ever driven a car that has a harsh ride? It glides over bumps. It is really, really good. In fact, probably the biggest issue is actually the run flat tires. They do make quite a bit of noise. And that adaptive suspension, of course, that adaptive suspension, of course, it feeds into the handling. This thing handles so well. I'm going around a slight corner here, but it is planted. In sport mode, it really does add a lot of artificial weight to the steering wheel, which is exactly what you want, and it feels very sporty indeed. It doesn't have a differential. You can option that if you want to. It's a just under $2,000 option. I don't think that the 330i needs it. You get it as standard in the M340i, which would be a monster of a car. I'm gonna put the suspension back into comfort. It is a bit stiff. There we go. So handling, to summarize, really great. Ride quality is really great, and when you want it to be, it will be very stiff. And that's kind of the name of the game with the 3 Series. If you want it to be sporty, put on sport mode. You will get a sporty experience. If you want something a bit more dull, a bit more muted, Absolutely, put the car into comfort, it is a lot more comfortable. In fact, it's very comfortable. In comfort mode, steering is vague, suspension is very wafty, and it changes gears pretty slowly. And to be honest, that's exactly what you want if you are in comfort mode. Overall, the BMW 3 Series drives really, really well. And yes, the 3 Series is absolutely a driving machine. So is it worth it? The BMW 3 Series starts at $75,895 drive away. That is for the 320i. Get your hands on a 330i with the sunroof, and you're looking at a car spec'd at just under 85,000 Australian dollars. That is right in line with the competition. The C300 costs pretty much identical to the 330i, and they perform very similarly. 0 to 60 times anyway. To me, the 3 Series is undoubtedly the best mid-size luxury sedan you can buy. It has the looks, it has the performance. Even the 320i is still a really great performing car. It just has the whole package. It was really hard for me to think of bad things with the interior. I mean, really hard. I had to say this door thing here was uncomfortable. That was my biggest complaint. The Mercedes C-Class now is just getting old. It is old design language and really will be refreshed soon. And maybe that will be a big competitor to this car, especially if it gets the MBUX. But for now, the 3 Series, undoubtedly the best performing car. Interior, driving, exterior, subjective, but I really like it. Very hard to beat. A competitor to this though would be the Tesla Model 3. I'm yet to drive that car, but from everything I've heard, that is pretty hard value to beat. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please do consider leaving a thumbs up. It really, really helps the channel out. Comment down below as well what you think of the BMW 3 Series. Would you rather this or would you rather a Mercedes C-Class? I know what I would rather take, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Of course, please do subscribe if you are new. As I said, I post a new car review every single week, and I'd love to have you around. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Whoa!